Hello. How's it going? Doing a vlog. Rob here. It's been a little bit since I've done one of these. I don't think I've done one in over a month, and I got a lot to talk about, a lot to share. Before we get into it, do me a favor, drop a comment, say hello. Whether you're watching this live or you're watching the replay, even if you only catch part of it, drop a comment. Let me know that you saw some of this. If you're first time watching, let me know where you're watching from and how you came across my content. Some people watch the vlogs on YouTube, or found my videos on YouTube. Some people are on Facebook, but I always like to see where people are at in the world that are connected with me. So anyway, want to talk about a few things. I want to talk about my recent engagement and share a little bit about that. I'm actually back in the country now. I'm back in the States. I want to talk about my trip to the Netherlands, how that went, and I also want to talk about some of her and I's plans for the future, and yeah, mostly just that. So yeah, as you may have heard, I am engaged after a long ass wait for that area of my life, that promise to be fulfilled. I gave my heart to the Lord 24 years ago is when I started following God, and he kind of spoke some things to me in regards to that area of my life, and basically my romantic relationships, and I kind of just trusted him with it. And now, of course, I didn't know it was going to be all this time. I thought literally it was going to be like a couple weeks, maybe a month or two, and I thought if I just trusted him and I listened and I obeyed and I didn't continue sleeping around, that he would just give me my wife pretty quickly, is what I thought was going to happen. And what I thought was going to be a couple weeks or a couple months turned into 6 years initially. So I was like, literally, I didn't date for 6 years. I didn't have sex. I just kind of waited for him to fulfill that promise that he made to me. And when he didn't, after 6 years, I kind of inadvertently fell back into sin. I started sleeping around again. This is when I was promoting, and I didn't even do that intentionally. I just started promoting again. I had a Bible study in a bar, and very good intentions, but because I was so close to the edge and all the sin, that it just dragged me in. Anyway, so did that for a while, backslid for about 5 years, rededicated my life to God 13 years ago, I think it was. And I've been waiting for him ever since, really, to fulfill this promise. And I'm perfect. I've made a couple mistakes, had some close calls along the way, but for the most part, I just really kept it in neutral. I didn't really date much. I literally probably went on, less than 10 dates over 13 years. And I just kind of waited for God to, drop her on me, so to speak. Now, sorry about that. I didn't feel like it was on me to find her, so I just kind of was trying to keep it in neutral, which was extremely difficult because, I got lonely, I got horny, I got all the things, every emotion you could probably imagine I dealt with over the time, because it wasn't even a matter of just waiting for God to give me a person. It was like going to your family functions every year, and you're the one guy that's still single after all this time, and your siblings got significant others and kids, and like it just created a really difficult dynamic. In addition to the fact that I had to keep such strong boundaries because like I was really weak in that area in the past, so I just had to live very strict and very disciplined in order to do it. So anyway, I'm glad to say that I met this girl 6 months ago, my fiance. I guess it was 7 months ago. In October, we started talking. Ironically, it was because of a polygyny vlog. She responded to something I said in my DM, and we started talking that way. And but it was weird because right away I just knew that there was something different with her. Like I just had a lot of peace, and like we would talk for over an hour, which was, for me, I don't ever talk on the phone for over an hour. I'm not a big phone talker. And we prayed together right away. Like I think it was like the second conversation we prayed over the phone together about our relationship. and just it was just very organic. It was just like everything kind of fell into place, and I have good discernment, which is what I've told people before. Especially I'm starting to talk about polygyny, and people were like all bent out of shape and mad about it. I'm like, listen, I have good discernment. I know that this is God telling me this. You can accept it or not, and I know you want to get mad at me, fine, but I do have good discernment. And with her, it was just green lights. It was just green lights all the way. And if you look back at some of my vlogs, I even said, like, I think there's a high probability I'm going to marry this girl. So, she ended up coming over in end of December after us talking for almost 3 months. We went to my New Year's Eve party. We were supposed to spend a week together in Baltimore, and that turned into 5 months of her and I spending almost every day together, because she went to Aruba, something fell through when she was there, and she, basically already had the vacation. She's like, well, do you want to come down? So I went down there, we spent some time together, then we ended up going to Phoenix, Arizona for this retreat for the biblical families, and then we got invited to Austin, Texas through some other guy I met, and paid for our plane tickets there. We went there, and then Costa Rica, just that trip popped up out of the blue, and then now the Netherlands, where I went to meet her family and friends, and I asked her father for her hand, which he said yes, gave us his blessing, and so it's been a whirlwind, man. It's been wild, like it's how fast your life can change, because first there was nothing, no signs of anything, and then now here I am 7 months later, and I'm engaged, and I'm going to be married in August, so we're going to do it quickly. We're not going to drag our feet. Like when I guess, right? That's what they say. And I do know. I haven't never known. I've never been engaged. I've never necessarily wanted to marry any woman before. She's the first one that I do. And it's exciting, So thank you for everybody that's kind of supported me along the way, encouraged me, even in just my Facebook comments or whatever. I definitely appreciate it. A lot of the credit for me being able to walk the narrow path and really stay out of trouble for the most part. I wasn't perfect again, but I felt like I did pretty good considering my past. And I did have a lot of temptation around me, a lot of girls that were not committed to waiting, that probably wanted to date and sleep with me. And so anyway, point being is the encouragement that I got from you guys, like knowing that some people were inspired by my story, or maybe just that they saw my turnaround, that really kept me out of a lot of trouble, because I certainly had desire to do things a lot, and I definitely would have done some dirt if I didn't want to let you guys down. So anyway, that's what's up with me. I'm excited. This is how it's gonna work with her and I. We're gonna get married in the Netherlands in August at a church. You got to do it through the court there first. And then we'll have a ceremony at her family's house after, and they have a nice backyard. And then we're going to fly to the States, and we're going to do what we're going to consider our official wedding here in the States for my family and friends. And I am going to get married through the government. I know I've said before that I wasn't a real big proponent of that and fan of that, but because of her citizenship, she's Dutch, and I wanted to be able to get her green card, then that's just the easiest path for us to do that. So that's the plan. Somebody dropped a comment or dropped me a message today, I think it was, and they said, congratulations, you look so happy. I guess you're not going to need other women after all. And I just said, thank you. I love her very much. I said, but we'll let God decide that. So I still believe in polygyny. Will I practice it? I don't know. Maybe. But it wouldn't change how much I love her. Not at all. I would never going to divorce her, and I'm never going to cheat on her. And that's more than most men can say, honestly, because when you look at the stats, there's a pretty high rate of divorce out there right now. It's not always from infidelity, but it is a lot on the man's part, especially. But even I think I've read recently that 30% of the men that are on dating apps are married right now. And I'm not talking a lot about polygyny right now. I'm not making a lot of content intentionally, because I don't want to take away her moment. I want her to feel special, and I don't want to be pumping out all this polygyny content while I'm, planning my wedding because that would maybe make her feel less special. And I understand that, and I don't want to do that. But it doesn't change the fact that I know that this is biblical. And when you shove this lifelong monogamy, when you shove it down men's throats, it doesn't have good outcomes. I read this interesting story today on this Instagram page called Non-Mono Man. Actually, you know what? Let me pull it up. I want to pull it up and read this to you because it was it just hit me so hard, and I was like, man. People ask like me, why are you talking about this? And if you care so much, why don't you just do it? You know, people have said that to me, and it's like, well, I might. I'm not sure if I will or not. That's not the point. The point is that people need to know that this lifelong monogamy, this prescription that the church gives, is horseshit. It's not biblical. It was never in the Bible. It was never prescribed. Lifelong monogamy was never prescribed in the Bible. Okay, so for some people, they're like, so what's that mean? Who gives a shit, right? But for some people like me, we really care about what God thinks about the way that we live our life. I do. I care really on a very high level about what God thinks about how I live. I do not want to sin. You know, have I sinned? Of course, I've sinned a lot. But I've also lived in ways that were extremely uncomfortable so that I didn't sin at times. And that's where I'm at now. It's like, I don't want to intentionally do things that God is not pleased with. So for some people, you know, they need to know that this is okay by God. And, you know, my thought is if you remove the legal mandates, right, around polygyny and allowed men to do it legally and stop stigmatizing plural marriage, man, it would just clean up so much. It would clean up so much of the mess. And that's why I'm personally passionate about it, even though I'm not talking about it a lot now. Now, I'll probably get back to it at some point. Hold on one second. I want to pull this up. But it'll be after I get married. Okay, here we go. Okay, I want you to hear this. Okay, this woman says, and this is a real story, okay? I left my husband because he was cheating. Hold on, let me pull it up. I have 4 kids. It says, I left my husband because he was cheating. I had 4 kids. I divorced my husband. Hold on one second. I'm sorry, it's just going to be hard for me. I left my husband because he was cheating. I have 4 kids. I divorced my husband because I was hurt by his cheating character. My monthly income was not enough to cater for our house. The kids always get sacked from school. Anyway, basically, it's going to be hard for me to read this. So she said, so I started hunting for wealthy men on dating sites and I caught a big fish, but he was married also. She says, I have now become a side chick to a married man. She goes on to say, basically, like, she left her husband because he was cheating. She herself started dating this married man because she needed some kind of companionship and financial support. And I'm not doing this story justice. You can go look it up on Non-Mono Man. But basically, her first husband went on to get remarried to some younger woman, and now she's basically dating 2 married men, and she's out there, you know, ripped the family apart. And anyway, it's a mess. It's a mess. And I'm not doing this story. I'm doing it a disservice the way I'm explaining it. But it really impacted me when I read it, and it reminded me about why I talk about this. So anyway, for what it's worth, go check it out if you want to look at it. Non-Mono Man. But so the wedding will be in August. The plan after that is we'll hit the road. We're gonna get into an RV and travel a little bit, hit some campgrounds. But I'm very excited. You know, like, I'm very excited. I'm very excited to have her. You know, it's a huge chapter of my life that's coming to a close of you know, waiting for God to fulfill this promise and this part of my life. And you know, I haven't had guilt-free sex in 24 years. Like, I've had sex. You know, there was 5 years in there where I went on a tear, but I was always guilty afterward. I always felt like I knew I was sinning, and I don't want to do that anymore. And which is kind of what motivated me the last 13 years to live the way that I did, is because I just didn't want to be living in sin. I didn't want to feel like God was disappointed with me. But so I'm looking forward to it. You know, I don't even know what guilt-free sex looks like. I guess I do know what guilt-free sex looks like because I used to have guilt-free sex before I was a Christian because I just didn't have any, you know, moral compass, I guess. I didn't have much of a, I had, you know, spiritually, I had no guilt about sex back in the day. But after I became a believer, yeah, I had a lot of guilt, a lot of guilty sex. So I haven't had guilt-free sex in a long time, so I'm excited about it. I was actually really surprised by the response I got on social media because I had a huge outpouring of people that were just like, yeah, congratulations, and really wishing me well. And I wasn't sure what that was going to be like after talking about polygyny so much for like the last year, but it was nice to see. It was really, you know, restored my faith in humanity a little bit. So thank you for that. If you drop me a comment, I do really appreciate it. What else? You know, like some of the things I guess that, you know, I've been feeling, you know, since I've kind of been dating her and having got engaged. So like things have been really falling into place, like really easily with her and I. Like the ring, the dress she found, like everything related to the wedding, like even all of our travel arrangements. It was all very like, I don't know, it just felt like I saw like God's hand on it. You know, he kind of worked it out for us to be together. We traveled super cheap, got free plane tickets from my Southwest miles, got extremely cheap places to stay. It was like everything just kind of fell into place for us to be together. Like God wrote our love story on some level. And I feel like because I didn't ever take myself out of his will, I just waited. I just trusted that he wasn't going to let me down. And I waited. I think there was a blessing in that. You know, I think like God's like hooking me up now. I think he's like helping me with like just the way I got the ring from my sister. Shout out to Heart of Gold Fine Jewelry. It's my sister's company. The way Sana got her wedding dress, she found this amazing designer, like $4,000 dress on this marketplace, and she was able to get it dirt cheap, and it was exactly her size, which like every measurement was her size, which is wild. But there's like a lot of things like that where I just really felt like it was God. So anyway, for anybody that's out there, you know, like maybe you're waiting, you know, maybe you don't even know God. I don't know, or you know, who's watching this, but I can say that he is faithful. You know, like if you're waiting for him, you know, he knows where you're at. Like I used to have to remind myself so much of that. Like God hasn't forgotten me, because I did feel forgotten a lot. You know, like there were girls that were interested, and I would go to God in prayer, and I wouldn't hear anything. I just hear silence. You know, there were girls that liked me, and I kind of liked them a little bit. I was willing to take another step with them at least, and I would pray, and God wouldn't say anything. You know, just complete silence. And then, you know, that when that happens over and over, and then it starts getting to be like, I'm getting old now. And I'm like, you know, what the hell, God? Like, but to continue to walk in obedience to him and say, okay, if that's your plan for me, even if it means like I got to die single and never having sex again. Okay. I mean, it sucks. I don't like it, but I'll do it. Like, and that's where I was at. So I am extremely grateful that I didn't settle, because there was plenty of times I wanted to. You know, I was lonely and horny and all the things I mentioned earlier, where I just wanted to call up a girl and be like, fuck it. Like, you know, not like, let's just sin. I was like, let's just go down to the courthouse. Let's just get married real quick. Right. And then, but I knew, and I would have been fine for about a week or two. Honeymoon would have been great. But then I would have been like, fuck, you know, like, why did I do that? I could have waited a little bit longer. You know, and so I'm grateful that I didn't do that, because now I got a great girl. You know, like, we get along so good. She's such a good teammate. She's such a good partner, and I love her very much. She's got a heart of gold. She's like such a sweet girl. We got exciting plans for the future. Maybe we'll have kids. I'm not sure. I'm kind of on the fence about that. But yeah, she's a good helpmate, and we'll see. We'll see about the rest. You know. But I do want to start making content more often. I'm going to try to do these a little bit more regularly. I So I'm going to do another video. I was going to do one today. Where somebody sent me a message and basically was like, "Why are you talking so much about this particular topic? This is about polygyny. You should just be sharing the gospel. You should just be talking about Jesus. Things are getting crazy in the world. Why are you talking about this? You should be talking about Jesus and Jesus coming back." And I want to address that actually, but I'm going to do it in the next video just because I want to call my girl before she goes to bed. She's 6 hours ahead. But I just kind of wanted to check in, let everybody know, thank you for your support. And yeah, I mean, I will continue to keep everybody updated, continue to document the journey. Yeah, that's it for right now. I have shared a couple things about silver recently. I don't know, like, since I started talking about silver, I don't know, a couple years ago, it's up like 40%. Inflation is continuing to ramp up. It's not going away. If you're out there watching and you got some cash, go out and buy some precious metals. You know, even if you can only get a couple coins or whatever, start stacking some precious metals. The dollar's going to collapse. That's what God told me 24 years ago, and you're already starting to see it. You know, so I want to keep talking about that too. I'm going to share some stories related around that. But for now, just I'll leave you with that. Go pick up some precious metals. You can get an ounce of silver for like $35 right now, and start. You know, when you have an extra $35, $70, whatever, $100, go out and pick up a couple ounces of silver and just put them somewhere. Put them in a safe, hide them somewhere, or whatever. If you have a significant amount of money to invest, drop me a DM. I can tell you where to buy it from. There's a company I use called Monex, and they take good care of me, and they have low fees and all that. But yeah, that's it for now. Hope you all have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you on the next one.